It's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win.
And he drives one to right field over toward the line. Long run for Laureano, and he runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
The Boroughs, episode 41, brought to you by BTO Media. I'm Kevin Bunk, joined by Michael Merlo every week, multiple times, talking New York baseball and everything else around the league. Mike, Mets are back since we did our last episode. Mets had the tough first series, now back with a series win. Alonso, home opener tomorrow. Everything's going well for you. This is your World Series episode this year. You will never have another one. And everything's going wrong for the Yankees. Talk about it later. We're going to go around the league as well. A couple surprising little moments in the standings so far. Braves winless. We're going to look at the Dodgers, the Padres, everyone in between. But Mike, your Mets last night, they go into Miami. They get a series win, first of the year. And I know it's only April, but they could not lose that series. They had to win that, and they did. And it's a feel-good day for Mets fans.
It was ugly. It was not. You did not feel good winning that baseball game, but the only thing that did feel good was actually walking out of there with a series win. And you mentioned it at the top there with Alonso. He's basically the only bright spot offensively at this point, other than Soto, who did not have a great series in Miami. We could talk about that later, but Alonso looks locked in. Alonso looks like he's back. Peak Pete Alonso. I tweeted out last night. He's going to be just fine hitting behind Juan Soto in this lineup. He looks like, and he's going to have chances. We know he's going to have chances to drive in a ton of runners. He's an easy over 100 RBIs this season as long as he's healthy. And the power looks back. He's seeing the ball well, deep counts, not swinging at terrible pitches. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start from Pete Alonso, who's in a huge year, basically a contract year.
And we had spoken about, I think I made the point about Vientos, though, but now Vientos is not the three-hitter. We'll get to Vientos also today. I want to talk about him.
Yeah, definitely.
But there is obviously an incredible production increase when Soto's in front of you, because even when Soto has a bad day, he gets on base twice. So you'll always have a guy on base. This is what happened with Judge last year. If you look at Judge in 2022, when I had said it was the best offensive season ever because he had no protection in that lineup. He had Anthony Rizzo hitting behind him was terrible. Gleyber Torres was terrible. And he had no protection. He had nobody on ever. So what did he have? He had 62 home runs, but he had the same amount of RBIs as Alonso. I think they had 131, and that was the top of the league. And now he has basically the same season with Soto hitting in front of him, and he had over 140 RBIs. So the production with Soto in front of you just changes so much. Alonso's going to have a big year statistically. But yesterday, and the Milwaukee home run in October, and tomorrow the home opener, we were kind of talking yesterday who's going to get the loudest cheers. We think maybe it's Alonso. It just continues to show that he is such a Met. Like he just is New York Mets baseball. I feel like, and even when you bring in these flashy guys, Alonso is the constant that continues to deliver for fans.
And the interesting thing is the last couple of seasons before the home run in Milwaukee, the big knock on Alonso was that it's been a while since he's come up in the big moment and gotten the big hit. It had been a while. It was like a year or two. He didn't have it at all in 2024, and 2023 was a very similar year for him. So, and it wasn't a good year in general. He didn't come up and get the big hit. Now he gets the big hit here. He gets the big hit on Monday with the grand slam to break the game open. I think he's just, I don't know what it is, Kevin. Yes, he's a Met. He feels like a Met, but now he's getting these big hits and he's becoming that fan favorite once again. And that was a big hit. I mean, I know it's early. You're right. But the difference of the feel heading into the home opener against Toronto on Friday at 2-4 or 3-3 and taking this series, I think that's big. I really wanted that game yesterday. It's a big difference.
I think when you're in this playoff race too, not only with Philadelphia right now, and Atlanta will surely make their way into it in some capacity, whether they end up ever being ahead of the Mets or Phillies in the standings or not, they'll be in the mix at some point in June or July. But when you're in this playoff race with not only these teams, but also the entire NL West right now, and there's only 5 spots for the West and East to come get because the Central's going to get the 6th. You have to win these series against inferior teams.
Yep.
And especially in your division, when the Marlins are going to be the worst team in the division, maybe Washington. Washington looks terrible to start the year.
Yep.
But whether it's in April or third week of September, you will look back at the series you lost against Miami, against a crappy team in the NL Central. You lose. There's always that one series in the summer, 2 series in the summer you lose at home that you're pissed about that you couldn't have lost. And no matter when those take place, we always look back at them if you do fall a game or 2 short of one of those top seeds in a bye or home field advantage. So you want to win these games. It was a big win for the Mets. I agree with you. It was disgusting. We'll talk about Clay Holmes in a second. Not a pretty start for him, even though the runs were unearned.
It didn't
like the start.
It didn't end up being as bad as when I texted you, which basically said I'm done with this guy. But yes, it wasn't great.
It feels like a middle reliever having to start games because you need a 6th guy.
But then when he gets ahead in the count and he puts the guy away early, which happens in the middle of 3-0, 4-pitch walks, he does look like a guy that belongs. But then there are those bad, like the 9-hitter gets walked on 4 pitches. I mean, come on. I can't deal with that. That's something that drives me through a freaking wall, man. I can't.
And people will blame, first of all, another guy we have to talk about today. Taylor should not be playing. But people will blame for the errors and say, well, I can't believe Holmes gets knocks for this and for that. But a lot of the runners that score after errors are guys that Clay puts on. And that was a big defense of him last year was the infield defense doesn't help him. Well, you know what? When he is coming out for 45, 50 saves a year and the bases are loaded every single time on walks, stuff's going to happen. Things are going to go wrong. And I know that the pitcher takes responsibility for that in the dugout. And the fans are going to defend him, but Holmes has to put less guys on.
I agree. And the defense was terrible yesterday. It was. Vientos makes and we're going to really get in on Vientos. He throws the ball over Sanger's head, and that scores a run, which that was even a questionable play to go to home. Whatever. Taylor misreads the ball. It falls in front of him. That scored a run. Again, those aren't on him. But yes, the runners that he put on base are on him because he walked those guys. Again, the stuff is there. He's just got to get ahead in the count. That's really it. That's the biggest thing for him. He's got to get ahead in the count. He's not even getting hit hard. He's still not getting hit hard. And I know this was the thing with him last season. But I also, while I got to play devil's advocate here, I'm screaming and yelling yesterday, right? Especially in that 3rd inning. But at the same time, I also kind of have to understand that we have to be patient, that this is a completely new thing for him. And yes, we're seeing signs of what he was as a reliever, but I think there also has to be some patience, and he really didn't look too bad yesterday.
No, there was an encouraging, I think it was the 3rd inning they gave up the runs, but there was an encouraging stretch after that where Holmes looked to battle and you felt a little bit better about it. But I just watch him and I have 2 big questions for him. Will he ever be able to get ahead in the count consistently? And how many innings can he realistically give the Mets this year in his first year as a starter? And I'm just genuinely asking those questions to myself. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility for this guy to turn into something, because last year, this time, I said Luis Severino was completely broken and could not be fixed as a starter. Mm-hmm. I said that, and that could not be more wrong, because he already looks good with Vegas this year, and he looked great with the Mets for majority of the season last year. So we'll see what they do with Holmes. But
the issue is too, Kevin, not to cut you off, he's throwing too many pitches. So yesterday, he gets 2 outs in the 5th inning, and then a couple of guys get on base, and now Mendoza's got to go to Reed Garrett. He can't even finish 5. He's got to go to Reed Garrett early, and that ended up almost screwing the Mets because they had to go to Danny Young in the 11th to try and get the save. He didn't get it. Brauzabon did, but having to go to that bullpen so early again with him, I agree. Too many pitches here. How many innings can he realistically give you? And we're not even talking about him getting hurt. It's just the pitches. How many? He can't throw that many pitches in such a short period of time.
No, he can't. And it feels like 20 pitches an inning right now with Holmes.
Yeah.
That number's got to go way down. He's got to have, especially when you're a ground ball pitcher, you got to be able to put in a couple 6-pitch innings throughout the season where you just have guys ground out, pop out, weak contact, which he does draw weak contact. But you have to have guys that innings that where guys do that. You can't be behind 2-0 in most of these counts or 3-1. Just can't happen. But I will say I'm incredibly disappointed in Vientos. Like, to start the season here, I don't want to go total overreaction crazy, but this was a guy that I thought out of all of Major League Baseball, with the addition of Soto, granted I thought he was going to hit third wedged between Soto and Alonso. I still think maybe they should try that. Not anymore with Alonso yesterday, but like maybe they should try moving him up in the order, helping him out a little bit. Yeah. But Vientos, not only at the plate, but the play in the field yesterday, he looks terrible.
Looks disgusting. He's in his own head right now, I think, defensively, because he's pressing at the plate. You had the issue on Tuesday night where he doesn't finish running out that ground ball. He probably would have been safe. He slowed up as he got to the bag. Mendoza and Lindor, and I think the first base coach all handled that, and he seemed fine after that, but he played terribly again in this game. I think he went 0 for 5. He came up with the bases loaded in that 11th, and he grounds out, but the shortstop made the error. It would have been a fielder's choice. It would have got the guy at home. Maybe a double play with how fast he runs. It might have been, honestly, a double play. But it's not good. And he was a regression candidate. All offseason, I heard from friends, he's a regression candidate, big regression candidate. And I kind of held off because of what he did in the postseason and the pressure that he dealt with getting back to the major leagues and proving people wrong, and then under the pressure in the postseason. I was like, this kid, he's been through a lot. He can handle it. I think he'll be fine. Looks awful. Swinging at bad pitches. Sweeper away. Throw him a sweeper going away. He's going to swing at it. He's going to chase.
Yeah, I heard the same thing from friends, regression candidate, besides my Mets fan friends who were all as high on him as I was. But last year, he had a really good season. He had, in 111 games played, he hit 27 home runs, 71 RBIs. He really, you could argue, besides Lindor's MVP surge, was the catalyst for that team turning things around and going on such a run, because he got that extended period of run and got really hot in the beginning of summer, and they never looked back after that. But this year, only 24 at-bats so far, but he just looks abysmal this year. Yeah. And the third base defense is obviously an issue. We've heard about it for years as a problem. We've heard of him as a DH candidate for years now. The third base defense is a serious problem.
He got better last season throughout the year. He got better. And then all spring, all you heard was his defensive improvement, and he actually looked good at third base. He's making plays. I think it's all mental right now. I actually don't think the defense is as bad as it looks currently. I think it will get better as long as he starts to hit. I think it'll get better. I really do.
Yesterday's play by him to give up that run was
awful.
One of those routine, maybe you go to the plate, maybe if the guy gets a bad jump, but usually you want the out at first. There's one out there, I think.
He had a chance to try and turn 2.
Could have turned 2 there, yeah. There was
but
one
you weren't getting. I think it was Edwards or Lopez. You were not. Yeah. You were not doubling him up. Probably not doubling him up.
Well, you want to try to just get the sure out, and he fires home and just airmails it. Bad. Like, really bad throw. He's lucky they won the game, because really, really bad.
It's just, and then he came up in big spots as well and failed to drive guys in. It's been a massive issue. You say, it would help maybe move him up, put him in between Soto and Alonso at some point. Maybe if he got hot, they got to keep moving him down. He hit 6th yesterday. Also, I got another issue. Jesse Winker, you alive? You know the season started? You good?
He doesn't have a hit yet, does he?
Doesn't have a hit. He walked with the bases loaded. I would have walked in that spot. They threw him 4 balls, not even close. So I don't know. I got it. There's issues offensively right now. I know it's early, and I'm not complaining, and I'm not going to sit here and overreact. But maybe I am.
You could always circle back to Lindor. It's just, Lindor has to start hitting because, again, you can tell me I'm overreacting and everything, whatever. But I know what have they played? What are they, 3-3? They played 6 games. Yeah. But They are in a playoff race right now for 5 spots with the Phillies, the Braves will be there, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks. That's 7 teams for 5 spots. Not to mention
and a central team. Oh no, you're saying only 5 spots.
For 5 spots.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but if another central team gets hot, and say the Cardinals are actually gonna win games this year, like they're 4-2 right now, or the Reds. We picked so the Cubs are good. Let's imagine the Cubs are actually good. We were wrong about that. Yeah. Cubs win the division. They win 89, 90 games. Who's to say the Reds don't step in here, or the Brewers, and win 87, 88? That's a problem if that happens. That's why these wins matter to me a lot. And when your best player, your franchise player, I don't care that Soto got the $800 million. Obviously, he's the Mets' best player. But when your franchise guy in Lindor, who finished second in MVP last year, is a no-show the first 5 weeks of a season every year, it is incredibly frustrating.
No, it is. And there are a couple of instances where if he's playing well, maybe they're 4-2 right now. Maybe they're 5-1 if he comes up and gets the big hit. I get that. And by the way, Tuesday night's game could solely be blamed on him because he didn't get any hits, or he might have had a hit, and he had a hit in that game. He had an RBI in that game, but he made the 2 really bad errors. One that costed them 2 runs, costed Senga 2 runs. So yeah, that game could be put on him 110%. I had a friend yesterday. I was watching the game here. I was on the phone, and the Braves lost. And the stat came out that no team has made the playoffs starting 0-7. And my buddy goes, well, weren't the Mets 0-5? That's the same crap. It's only 2 games. And I said, no. If the Mets started 0-7 last year, they wouldn't have made the playoffs because they made the playoffs by not even a game. A tiebreaker got them in. So that's a huge difference in these games. They matter early. They matter because it can be the difference in you making the postseason or not.
Because we sit here and nitpick the last 6 weeks of a season. Oh, we should have swept this team. I can't believe we blew this save. But it's all relative to the entire year. And look at teams like the Washington Nationals when they won the World Series, the Atlanta Braves when they got in without Acuna. Every single win mattered to them. Every win that entire season counted. And we see teams who get into the playoffs, like the Rangers when they won the World Series. It was almost the opposite. The first half of the season, they won so many games that it helped them in the second half of the year to actually get into the playoffs and be able to take an exhale and then go on a run. So you got to win these games, especially when you're playing teams like Miami in your division, the teams that are definitely inferior to you. You have to win them. And the Mets did. They took care of it. There's going to be ugly wins. It's 162 games. They got an ugly one. Are we also shipping the Beatty train? Is it gone? Is it the station completely?
I wrote that down here. The experiment's over. I think they're going to ride this out until McNeil comes back because I don't think they want to see if it's truly going to fail. And if it's done, if by the time McNeil comes back, right, and he's still playing poorly, at least they could say to themselves, we gave it a chance, right? That they could look themselves in the mirror and said, he got a chance in the big leagues. He failed miserably. We're good. And they could send him back down and see what happens.
LeBron.
Beatty.
We're good.
Luis Angel's here. We're good. No, but he's terrible. I had a little bit of hope after what he did in the spring. A tiny sliver of hope. Come on. He's terrible.
I could see him getting...
I blame you. You should have knocked some sense into me when I started to get a little hope.
Yeah, it was the Beatty train was bad the whole way. I think he's a candidate to be traded within the next 5 weeks. I think that he had the good spring. You can find a bullpen arm or a bench bat that you think you can get something out of while Beatty still has any value in a 1-for-1 trade with teams who probably aren't contending this year and need a young body that they're trying to turn into something, and you can give a team full run of Beatty because there will be teams in the league that would say 5 weeks from now, we're 10 games under 500, we're 12 games under 500. We know it's a rebuilding year. Let's give this guy an extended run of 5 months, see if we have anything, and we'll give the Mets a player who's definitely an impact major league player, not in a major way or anything, not a star, obviously, but just an arm that can eat some innings for you.
Yep.
Throughout the season, and we know he's not going to be back next year, so we can get something now for him and see if Beatty can give us anything. I think that's
if he could go down and hit, I think that would be big. If they would send him down when McNeil came back and he went and hit again down there, then I think this scenario works.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Who else?
The bullpen looks really good. Diaz looks sharp.
Diaz looked really good, and the Mets pen, we said it last week, but you were one of the guys that were more outgoing about how much you liked the pen than most, and I think so far you've been right. I like the Mets bullpen, and we're seeing some good depth. What they did yesterday I thought was really impressive. Buto looks great.
Yep.
He looks like he's going to continue to be the guy he was last year when he was really good. I like the Mets pen. I don't know how you can't be excited about their ability to keep it together in the back end for the whole season. And I think if you look into a potential postseason bullpen, which we're so far away from, but they have good arms to add there as well for that. So I like the Mets bullpen. I think Stearns did a good job with it.
Yep. And Nunez will come back. He was a big piece last year. He's not here yet. Yeah, except Minter falling off the mound yesterday. That was
rough.
Weird. A little weird, but yeah, it looks good.
That was the moment that I thought the Mets lost the game. Minter is on the ground, stomach down, the ball's rolling towards the catcher, and the runner on second doesn't even know if it's a balk or not. He's like going halfway, then he goes back. What just happened? Is it a dead ball? Is it a balk? And then the run scores. But they won the game, thank God. That was embarrassing though for Minter.
I was in the car. That was the moment. Like after that inning, I was like, okay, I'm putting my music on. I'm done with this game.
How was the call of that on the radio?
Oh, Howie was great. Oh, he was great. Gary's was better, but Howie's was good too.
Yeah,
I would rate Gary's higher.
Because I was actually watching the game while I was doing work, and I had it muted, and I just look up and he's literally on the ground.
Oh, you're talking about the call of the Minter.
The Minter, yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I was out of the car for that part.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm watching the TV and I'm like looking at my laptop, then I look up at the TV and he's on the ground and the ball's rolling away.
Right.
And I'm like, what's going on in this game right now? And it took a second. I had to unmute the TV, but that was embarrassing for me.
I thought, because I was out of the car, so I didn't see it. So all of a sudden, I get a couple of texts like, "Oh God, Minter." I'm like, "Did he get hurt? Like, what happened?" That was my first reaction. Like, is he out for the year? Like a Diaz situation where you see something and you know he's done. And I'm not obviously not being that. Thank God. But I was so confused.
Also, Terens put on a clinic in the middle of that game yesterday. He might be the best defensive catcher in all of baseball. He has an absolute gun.
Freaking love that guy. I really do. And he's hitting. I love him. He should start like right now. There's no reason. I don't even miss Alvarez. Terens, he's the catcher. That's it. Luis Terens is the catcher of the Mets.
Was there any return in that trade that the Yankees sent Terens? Or was it just cash, right? Yeah.
Cash. Hope you enjoy that cash.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even get Soto with it.
Yeah.
So you guys got Terens and Soto.
The best 1-2 punch in the league.
And the Yankees need a backup catcher. JC Escar, a cool story that he got to the league and everything, but come on. I mean,
not good.
Not Terens.
Nobody's Terens.
But when nobody runs and Terens is catching, it's automatic. He's done. He's not getting second.
Think about it. No, Diaz can't hold runners for crap. You barely get a throw off when Diaz is pitching, and he throws him out from his knees. That was impressive. That was very impressive.
Yeah, Terens is a stud. He's great. And last thing, I kind of mentioned it, but why is Taylor playing over Siri? Siri, I don't even think he's a very good player. I think he's wildly overrated, but he's a really good defender, and he's going to give you pop, and Taylor's just not that good.
Siri's funny, man. He's a fun watch. I know he's frustrating. I know he strikes out a ton. I know he doesn't get on base. But when he gets on base, he's exciting. When he hits the ball, he hits the ball hard. He's just a fun player to watch. And you mentioned he's probably, what is he? One of the 3 best defensive center fielders in the entire sport. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's great out there. So, yeah, at this point, if you were going to have to, I think they're really going to platoon him. But if there was going to be like a 60-40 who you're going to play, it would have to be Series 60.
Yeah, and I like Siri a lot here for this spot, just to give you a little bit of excitement, a little bit of juice, a little bit of pop.
100%.
Taylor was a glue guy on last year's squad. He had some nice moments, some good consistent stretches of play. But now that you're really ramped up to try and be a World Series contender, I think you just got to take the upside of Siri over the floor of Taylor, which I think is a thing with the two of them. I think Taylor might have the higher floor where Siri could just hit a slump and be the worst player every day.
Yeah.
But I'll take the upside there. And that might be a position the Mets make the upgrade at the deadline. That's their one position in the field that I really think they'll at least be calling around to see how can we upgrade in center field.
Oh, you don't think it's going to be Sandy Alcantara since everybody's freaking calling for it? It's the worst kept secret in the sport that the Mets want Sandy.
Let's talk about that. How weird was that?
Crazy. And we got people in our comments on that post saying, this isn't weird. What are you talking about? That's weird. I've never seen that before.
I have never seen a team. And what it was so I know he pitched in that game, but it was so unprompted.
Yeah.
All the guys saying that.
They clearly want him. And there's people like that believe it's going to happen. People believe this is going to happen.
Well, now that adds a lot of fuel to a fire that wasn't even burning for me. Sandy to the Mets. Like I didn't even Sandy to the Yankees after the Cole injury I don't think that's ever going to happen, first of all. But that was something that started to pop up. Yeah. Sandy to the Mets, I thought was just kind of fan fiction type of thing, because why would the Marlins send him there? And for the people in the comments, too, that are saying the Mets have nobody to send, that's not true. The Mets couldn't put together a package for Sandy and not hurt their chances this year or next year or the year after. But that was really odd to see the whole team, the whole big group come out basically like, yeah, this is a guy that we have to get. It would be awesome to get him. He's great. We love the guy here, but he's great.
3 of your biggest leaders after a game where Peterson pitched his ass off. And Peterson pitched well in that game.
Yep.
Oh, wait, no. Peterson pitched. This was after the
That was the
game.
Senga game.
Senga game. Okay, Senga pitches pretty well. It wasn't his fault he gave up the last 2 runs. It was really strange. Listen, I'm all for it. I love Sandy. I think he's amazing. I think especially if you're able to ramp him up here and he looks healthy and they don't push him too hard where he's on an innings limit by the postseason, that'd be my only concern. I got to look at the contract. The contract is unbelievably team friendly.
And usually when a guy will get a question about potential trade, he's got 3 years left. They wiped his arbitration years. So it's 3.8 million, 6.3 million, 9.3 million. Oh, no, he's got until 2027. I'm reading it wrong. He's got 3 years left. This is the second half. So it's 17.3 million,
17 and 21. Are you kidding?
And in 27, you get a club option on the 21. So that's a home run deal. Because if he is run down and you could run him into the ground, you could pitch him into the ground the next 2 years and then opt out of it if he shot.
I wanted to mention this in 2 off-season episodes, and I completely forgot to mention it. That the package that they are going to get back whenever they do trade him is going to be massive. It's going to be and I think Soto level from Yankees to Padres, from Padres to Yankees level of prospects back to them, which that was a big deal. You got a legit major league pitcher in King. They got the Yankees top pitching prospect, which they flipped for Cease. Like, it was a big haul that the Padres got back for Soto. I think it's going to be actually even bigger than that one because of the control and the contract. It's going to be a massive trade. And I ask you this, do you think it'll be too big of a trade to have to actually get done during the season? Or is it like, this feels like an off-season trade?
Well, it does,
feels like too big of a deal.
If we saw Scherzer and Trey Turner get traded at a deadline, then anything's possible, because those two, Turner was the best shortstop in the league at that moment in time, and Turner and Scherzer was obviously still regarded as one of the 5 best starters in the league, Hall of Fame guy that can give you one last run, and they got a haul for them. I think that you could get this done in the middle of the season. Also, I think it makes it a little easier that Miami's probably not going to be in the mix for very long. So June 1st, June 2nd comes around and they're 8-9 games under 500 and their season's just slipping away. Sandy's their only positive day of the week. They can start working on those deals.
I think they're already working. I think they
are
know.
too.
They already know which teams have the prospects that they would take for him. They know that at least.
At this phase of their rebuild, where they don't have one of the elite farm systems, they don't have a good MLB roster, they need to trade this guy. Like, this is not a maybe we can make it work and keep our star. He's 29 years old. By the time this team's going to be any good, he's 33 or 34. So you got to do this now. Speed up your process. And it might take 3 or 4 years anyways, but you got to get top prospects in here. You can get a haul for Sandy. I wouldn't even want any major league players back for Sandy unless they're younger than 26. I would just want all prospects.
And I've seen this take like, oh, the Marlins are so poverty, they shouldn't be trading this guy. But you make a great point. He's coming off of Tommy John surgery. He's 29. By the time this contract runs out, he's going to be 32. I mean, for them, they've really gotten what they can out of him. And if they could get a haul back to, shoot their system up to a level that it's not at right now, it's a no-brainer. They have to trade him.
Did you see, because you mentioned the Padres Yankees, did you see Jackson Merrill's comment about Soto?
What did he say? I did not.
After signing that deal. So Merrill signs the extension. And Jackson Merrill, a guy that we've spoken about, especially last year, love him. Great baseball player. Everyone knows that. And he was asked about signing the contract, and he had never played a game with Soto in San Diego. Merrill was never on the field in a game that Soto played in. And he said, I know there are contracts out there that are beyond absurd, but having a relationship with a real human being and a real team like I have here, you can't beat that. You can't just sign for $700 million and want everything to be perfect. So kind of a lame dig. I don't even know what it means, what he's trying to get at by that.
Yeah.
But definitely not a positive comment about Soto. I don't think it was in like, we're buddies, good fun type of thing. It was clearly he left the Padres. He didn't want to be here because they couldn't give him everything the Mets gave him or the Yankees could have given him or any team that offered him could have given him. And that's his loss, not ours type of comment. But
it's strange because they were negotiating a contract before the owner got sick.
Yeah.
So like he liked it there. He would have stayed there if they offered him the right contract. So, and obviously they had a lot. I mean, the owner passes away and they had to start cutting payroll. He was on the books for over $30 million for that season. They knew they weren't going to re-sign him. I thought that was more of a Padres thing than a Soto thing. I think he liked it there. I think he would have stayed there.
I think the Padres acknowledged after the owner died,
we're not signing him.
Acknowledged we're not able to pay him. We can't make this payment. And we've seen the Padres now go cheap after off seasons of being the biggest spender. But we've seen them now with Tanner Scott walk out and trading Soto last year. It's just, this is the reality of their organization with a weird situation in ownership right now where there's a couple different kids trying to get hold of the team and hold of the finances. And Soto was clearly not going to be a guy that they re-signed. So you get a great trade, made a great trade for him. They made their team better.
That's a weird comment. That's a really weird comment.
And especially now, I think it's 2 years down the line. He already played a full season with the Yankees. He's on the Mets now. It feels so far removed, especially with what the Padres were able to accomplish last year, that and now they're 6-0 when he makes that comment. They're 7-0 now because they won the game afterwards. But
I mean, if it came out that Soto said, I am requesting a trade, you guys can no longer pay me what I want, fine. Okay.
Yeah.
That never came out. We don't know that. And
there was never a negative thing about him in the Padres.
Right, and all we know is that he loved it there and would have stayed there. After people thought he would never sign on the West Coast, it came out that they were negotiating a long-term contract. So it was the complete opposite of what we thought. That's very strange.
And the only reason I could think of him possibly going down that path of still having ill will towards a guy he didn't play with is if there's a sentiment in that clubhouse the last season and now 7 games that Soto was, and I don't think this is true at all, based on what we've read about it. But that Soto was the guy that in the clubhouse, the mindset that allowed that team to fail in 2023. Because that team was supposed to absolutely rake. We know that they didn't. And I just wonder if there is, whether it's true or not, some sort of narrative in that clubhouse now that getting rid of Soto was a great thing because he was not a good teammate. But once again, I've never heard that to be true anywhere.
And I mean, he had 35 home runs. He had a 930 OPS. He got on base 41% of the time. He played 162
He was their best player.
Games that year. He's their best player. So I mean, if that's the take that they're going with, they're losers. But whatever. I don't want to sit here and be Soto's lawyer. I don't. Yeah. He's not perfect.
Did it not always feel like the Tatis suspension and his antics were more of the cancer in that clubhouse for a period of time?
Always was. Always.
It always felt that way.
You had that. You had it before he got there with Machado and Tatis fighting in the clubhouse in, what was that, St. Louis? I mean, you had that prior to this.
And Machado's never been held in the highest regard as a teammate either. So, I don't know. Soto, everyone on the Yankees seemed to love him last year. Nobody has said a bad thing about him to this point. It's not like nothing has slipped through the cracks. If they do feel anything, I'm sure there's a little animosity towards him because he left, but in the big picture of relationships and everything, I mean, you see him at the spring training game that the Yankees played. Everyone was talking to him. Everybody was giving him hugs. Like, I don't think he was a bad teammate with the
Washington too. Nobody says a bad word about him. And he, by the way, he would have stayed there. He would have stayed in Washington. Yep. So, and that was a weird thing. He was a young kid. That was the first place he got traded to. He gets traded there, and he actually was the worst he ever was in his career. He had a 778 OPS when he got traded to San Diego. He was not good in the regular season when he got traded. I don't know.
And then they had that run to the NLCS where he was better, but yeah.
Yeah, they beat the Mets.
They did beat the Mets, you're right.
Yeah.
But they Trent Grisham was on that team.
Yeah.
But they
he hurt us.
Yeah, I know. The Soto thing, I don't know, it's weird because the only team that didn't have a fair shot to re-sign him, I think, was the Yankees, but that's not even really true. I'm just saying a fair shot to extend him while he was on the team.
Yeah.
Like, they were the first team where he was completely like, I'm not signing during the season here at all. And that was fair because he only had 1 year left on the contract. Now that you made it this far, you might as well see what's out there.
If the Yankees offered him $700 million before the season started, which they would have never done.
No.
But let's just say they did that. He still should have said no to that because you had the Mets and the Red Sox and possibly the Dodgers who would have said, "Hey, yeah, sure, we'll match that."
Yeah, and you look back to that Nationals contract offer. I remember the day that it came out. Whoever reported it, that he turned down that, what was it, 530 million or something?
440 million, I think.
Okay, and I think it had a maximum of over 500 million with incentives and performance-based whatever. But he would have taken that contract if it wasn't deferred.
Right.
Boris said that. We don't want the deferrals. He wants his money in his career. So that right there, I mean, Washington ownership got cheap, which is not uncommon for them. That's not a crazy thing.
They were big deferrals, though. They were big with deferrals. They offered Harper a deferred contract.
Yep.
They offered, Scherzer's contract is heavily deferred. The $210 million he got, they're still paying him. They've always been big with deferrals.
Yeah, always. So whatever. Merrill, back to the point. Merrill, that was weird that Merrill said that. And good for him,
Merrill, though. I don't know. What do you think of these extensions? I mean, listen, I get you want your money up front, but like Merrill waits, he continues on this path. He's a $500 million player in 5 years, you know?
And I think I'm going to look at what it was before. Like, when would he have been a free agent, Merrill? He would have been a free agent 2030. Yeah. And now he's not a free agent until 2034. So he would have been an unrestricted when he was 27 years old, Mike.
How old will he be
when he's 30? He's going to be 33 in 2036 because they have a club option in 2035. So he doesn't actually have
a $30 million
to be a UFA until he's 33. Yeah, it's $30 million club option.
I don't love it. I definitely don't love it. And even I could tell Marte's a different story. He got a nice extension, and we can talk about that
But
in a second.
Marte also,
He's gotten
they
paid.
already had him for another 4 years. Why did they offer the extension? Maybe he was banging the table saying, "I need more money." Because I almost won MVP last year. Like that.
Well, he signed a bad contract.
A terrible contract with them. Yeah, he signed an awful deal. So that's
These
probably
deals,
just Arizona doing a favor to a superstar.
Right. These deals always work out for the team. When you do these deals, they always work out for the team.
Well, yeah, with a guy like Marte or Merrill, the Christian Campbell one, while I like it for the Sox because they've shown that they're not really willing to spend, they wipe out those arbitration years and hold on to them for another 2 years after. The Christian Campbell ones are the ones that sometimes I don't love.
For the team?
For the team. Because I always say, from a Yankees perspective, I know when the Braves started doing this and it got hot, everyone was saying, why don't the Yankees lock up? They should have locked up Judge early. But why don't the Yankees lock up XYZ young players? And let's go back to 2016, 2017. Imagine the Yankees gave Brave-type extensions, because the Braves gave it to everybody. Imagine the Yankees gave Greg Bird, Gary Sanchez, Miguel Andujar, Luis Severino. Imagine they gave all those guys extensions, and Aaron Judge would have been one of them. But if we were sitting here in 2022, the only guy they gave one of those to was Aaron Hicks, and it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So imagine they gave them to all those guys on that young team that we all thought was going to be a group of guys that played together for a while anyways and competed for a while. I don't love these deals for the teams.
I need you to look at the contract for me for a second. Am I reading this correctly that Campbell's not going to be a free agent until he's 33? Because if this is the case, then this is bad.
For the player.
For the player. Because if it was just I don't think it wiped out the arbitration years. So if it wiped out the arbitration years and it was like you said, all right, it's just 2 years extra. Let's say he's, I don't know, 30 when he hit free agency or 29. Fine. I like the deal for him because he gets the security early. This is terrible. Oh my God.
And you know who else
here
botched one of these contracts? The Pirates with Ke'Bryan Hayes did exactly the same thing. They gave him $88 million off the rip, and he has a 200 on base percentage this year.
Well, what did didn't the Brewers did this with what's his face? Why am I blanking on his name? Jackson Churio.
Yeah. Yep, Churio right away.
He's a good player. And did the Rays pay Caminero or no?
No, but they paid Franco.
Right. Well, it would have worked out.
It would have.
He's a good player.
Yeah, these. It was interesting yesterday to see all of them flood in, though.
Yeah.
In the last. Obviously, the Sox extended Crochet. That's a different thing. That was a nice move by the Sox 2-3 days ago. I like that. You had to lock him up. That was a little worrisome because if you got to next offseason, he would have said, I'm holding off for one more year.
We talked about that too. We talked about that for a little while in the offseason as well. If they had any extra motivation when they got to the postseason, if he would have said, hey, I'm not locked up, I'm not pitching.
Yeah. Let's see. Ke'Bryan Hayes got an 8-year, $70 million contract with the Pirates. He's not a free agent until 2031. They have a club option in 2030, so he'll be a free agent in 2030 when he's 33. So good for Ke'Bryan Hayes locking
What
up
are they paying him a year?
$7 million.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
It's not the worst, but now you are committed to the player. The Pirates, different scenario than Boston because John Henry can buy out. I still have faith in John Henry. They can buy out $7 million a year if they had to, but the Pirates really can't.
No, this guy's here until 2030.
Yeah. So this is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and most of the time we only really talk about when it works.
I can't believe Campbell. I can't believe this. Club options on 33 and 34.
If he turns into a star, it's a terrible contract for him.
Awful.
Because what's in 2032, I mean, $16 million, that's his highest earning potential on this contract before the options, is $16 million in 2032 is going to be very, very low salary.
It's nothing.
Because you already have crappy players making 12 a year in the league. Like Paul Goldschmidt, what did he just get from the Yankees? 12 and a half. And not to rip on Goldschmidt, but he's almost 40.
Off his worst year of his
Off the
career,
worst year of
40.
his career, yeah. He was the worst first base option in free agency, and that's what he got. But on the same token, like Campbell, as a human being in the world, locks up $60 million over the next 9 years of his life.
It's more than me.
It's way more than we're going to be locking up.
Yeah, totally.
You combine ours.
And he's younger. He's younger than us.
And if you combine our entire life's earnings, we're lucky to get to one of those years.
Yeah.
And he's going to have, before he turns 33, before he turns 35, before he turns 33, he's going to have $60 million already. So good for Christian Campbell, but not good for Christian Campbell. But good for Christian Campbell.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats. You might have totally ruined your potential earning in your career. That's all right. How old is he right now? 22? Yeah.
22.
So he's actually older than me. So don't.
Oh, he's older than you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. He's 22, 9 months and something.
23 in June.
Okay.
So he's younger than you, older than me. But that doesn't matter. Yankees season's over, Mike.
Come on.
And 3-2. It's just a slide to the inevitable disaster season for the Yankees. No, I'm kidding. But discouraging 2 games. I said to you before we started, this is kind of what I expect from top 6 teams in the NL playing anyone in the AL. But I have a lot of issues with this team right now, some of which I did highlight on my World Series episode on Monday morning after the Yankees swept the Brewers. Now we sit here and a couple things remain true. Very concerning night last night, though. Burns game, I actually thought they did a pretty good job against Burns in game 1 of the series, and they worked the count real high. Gallen last night had his way with the Yankees. They hit the 3-run home run in the 9th, but Gallen goes 7 clean or 6 2/3 clean, and the Yankees had no answer for him at all. Very discouraging loss for their lineup, especially the bottom half of it. Your thoughts, though, on the Yankees lose these 2 games tonight. They'll probably lose again. Cookie Carrasco makes his Yankee debut.
No faith in Cookie tonight. That's unfortunate. No. I love me some Cookie Carrasco. No, it is. Listen, I think you mentioned it. First off, you're facing one of the better teams in the National League against their 2 best pitchers, right? You face Burns, and I mean they got to Burns a little bit, and then Gallen was unreal last night. I think the biggest thing is Rodon kind of took you out of that game, especially with the way that Gallen was pitching. He takes you out of that game, giving up the 4 runs. So you didn't have a chance there at that point with the way Gallen was pitching. I can't believe that stat. I sent you the stat, or you sent me the stat. The consecutive game strikeouts. Do you have it pulled up? You want me to pull it up?
It's first time back-to-back home games with 14 consecutive strikeouts for the Yankees.
Crazy. After what they did this weekend is wild. Volpe, at least, 4 homers, at least he's got to go. But he's my one exception with the torpedo bat, I think, that I have a problem. Because he gets bailed out on a pitch like that, on a swing like that.
You know what's funny, though?
He gets bailed out.
I saw a tweet this morning, and it was so true. And I'm not even saying you're wrong for saying that, but I saw a tweet this morning. It was Anthony Volpe's the first player in Major League history to get absolutely destroyed on this app every time he hits a home run.
Now he is, yes. I mean, he's late on that ball. It basically jams him. He gets the barrel to it somehow, and it somehow finds the seats in Yankee Stadium. It's unreal. It's really unreal.
I'll tell you my gripe with Volpe. I just don't think he's a good player. And this is starting to bother me because I look at the Yankees lineup, and the bottom 3 in average out of the 6 players that qualify who have played every game are Volpe, Dominguez, and Wells. 3 worst average hitters. And I know that average should not be the end-all, be-all in anything, but these guys don't look good at the plate. Wells can't hit lefties. Dominguez can't hit lefties. And Volpe really can't hit very well at all. So what is the solution for the Yankees when these 3 guys are players that will be here the entire season, that will be here to make an impact for your team? I worry tremendously about whether or not those 3 guys can play at a high level. Dominguez looks awful, Mike. He looks terrible. He looks like he should be in AAA.
Yeah, he doesn't look good. I think Wells, he hit the 2 homers early in the year. I wouldn't worry about Wells. I think my concerns would be with the two guys that needed to come in here and have big years to step up and fill that void that you were missing in this lineup, and that's Dominguez and that's Volpe. You needed both of these guys, or at least one of them. And yes, Volpe's hitting the homers, but everywhere else, it's I don't know. What do you expect? Like, what do you expect him to do here? Like, what else do you want from him?
From Volpe?
From Volpe.
Just at this point, I don't expect him to do anything else. But I was hoping he'd get to a point where he would hit 270 plus in the majors, and it's clearly never going to happen. He's clearly not that guy. But the biggest attribute that Volpe has offensively is his base stealing ability, and he never gets on base. He has 4 hits this year. They're all home runs. He never gets on base. And last year, in the beginning of the season, first 6 weeks, he sacrificed power for contact. It was evident in his swing. And he had the long hitting streak. We talked about it on Monday, but he had the long hitting streak. He was getting on base. He was stealing bases. And then suddenly he stopped hitting and he had no pop. Now it seems this year he's totally reverted back to what he was in 2023, where it was all pop, all or nothing, and he's not getting on base at all. You look through his last 2 years, he is not a good major league hitter. He's not.
I can't believe we're complaining about a guy that has his 4 hits or 4 home runs, but like 4 homers on the year.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
And he's got 8 RBIs already. You're right. Yeah. He's got 4 home runs, 8 RBIs.
His OPS is in the thousands. OPS plus over 200. It is interesting.
Like there's no loud outs. There's no encouragement between the home runs, and not for nothing. How meaningful are 3 of his home runs besides the opening day one? Home run's a home run, but he's got 3 home runs in situations that really didn't help the Yankees win a game. He had a home run when they were up 18-0 or whatever against Nestor, whatever the score was when he hit a home run. It was like 9-0 when he hit one. So it's very discouraging. And I've openly stated my stance on Volpe that I over-critique him more than maybe I should at times because of the expectations that were unfairly put upon him by the organization. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't change the fact that I need him to play better, and he just doesn't.
Right. Well, how about a positive? How about Warren throwing the ball decently well the other day?
Warren looked good in game 1.
That's positive.
And Fernando Cruz looked great in that first game also out of the pen. I know they're actually...
You guys love some Fernando Cruz. You guys love him.
We have to get around to him because he is a guy that's going to pitch a lot for them this year. And he had a 4.59 ERA last season with Cincinnati. He's got that beautiful splitter.
Yeah.
As you can see on our Instagram. But he is a guy that's going to pitch a really good amount of middle innings for them. I love his story, but we'll see how he does. Do you see his story? Do you know his story?
I don't know his story.
He played like 10, 11 years, like 900 games or something in the minors and in different foreign leagues.
Okay.
Try and get to Major League Baseball. He was an infielder, switched to pitching, developed this splitter, playing in other countries, and now is in year 3 of Major League play. He's 34 now. So he didn't get called up until he was 32. But I like the story, so I'm rooting for him here.
Rooting hard
be
for
a guy
him.
who against all odds had a strong season in major leagues. How many times does a guy actually switch his position after 6-7 years of being a minor league infielder and work out as a pitcher? Joey Gallo, not going to happen. Joey Gallo. But yeah, Cruz high on. Those were the positives from game 1, though. Game 1, they win if Devin Williams was able to play. Devin Williams having a baby this week. Congrats. That's awesome. That, above all else, is awesome. That screwed us. And he should take the time. Take as much time as you'd like. Highlight of your life, greatest achievement of your life, being a father, probably. I'm not.
There's a button here.
But
there's a button here.
Yeah, but we needed him on Tuesday. We needed him because Mark Leiter, who sucks, Mike, stinks. I'd say it to his face. He sucks.
No, you wouldn't.
I would say it to his face. He's terrible. He blows that game in the 8th, along with Tim Hill came in.
Tim Hill. I was going to say Tim Hill didn't help him.
Tim Hill was awful. Hung him out to dry. Actually, Leiter's back, and the good Tim Hill hung him out to dry.
Yeah, Tim Hill's done.
So because of that, you couldn't go Weaver in the 8th, Williams in the 9th, because you didn't have Williams. Once again, for good reason. But I hope he's back with the team this weekend. And I don't think
he could have went to Weaver though. He could have went to Weaver. You can't just save Weaver for the 9th if there's not going to be a 9th.
I agree with that. But then I wouldn't pitch Weaver in the 9th, so I don't agree with the people who are saying you should have done a 5-out save in the 5th game of the season. I don't.
That's
fine.
Game
of the season.
I don't think that. But 5-pitch inning.
Yeah, so I agree with you. Weaver could have pitched the 8th, and you could have tried to go someone clean slate in the 9th, but it was a mess, and it's just one of those losses that you'd feel much better today if they were 4-1, having beaten one of these two pitchers. Because the thing coming into the week was Milwaukee's pitching stunk. They gave up 10 to the Royals in the next game, or 11 to the Royals in the next game. You wanted to see how the Yankees did against Burns, Gallen, Kelly. Good enough day against Burns to win. You got a good enough start from Warren, who, maybe is a guy this year that actually does something for them. But you lost that game. Gallen totally mowed you down. It was going to happen one of these 3 days, and it happened yesterday. It would have been nice to get that game 1 win and play for the series tonight.
And Kelly's a good pitcher, too.
And Carrasco is the worst pitcher in the league.
Well, we don't know that yet, but there's a chance.
He's possible. The last 2 years, he legitimately might have been the worst real starter in the league, There's a chance he's the worst, but you never know. So we'll see if they get something out of him. But I'm worried that, Schmidt, good news on Schmidt, they're hoping to get him back in 2 weeks.
Right.
Boone said 15th, 16th. What's today, the 4th? 3rd.
Today's the 3rd.
Today's the 3rd. 15th, 16th, they'll get him back. Boone said that's what they're shooting for. I'm worried Warren is the casualty of that.
Why? You think if Carrasco, even if he stinks the bed tonight, that they'll continue with Carrasco?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. They just seem to choose veterans who stink. Like, this is what's happening at third base. They seem to choose veterans that are not very good over young guys who are showing some stuff. Like, why is Pablo Reyes? Well, it has to do, and mostly has to do with the options.
Yeah.
But now we're having a third base issue where there's no options involved. Why is Pablo Reyes getting the reps over Peraza? Pablo Reyes stinks. Peraza probably stinks, but is a young homegrown guy who hit a home run on Saturday in his only at bat and got benched the next. He hasn't played since.
Yeah.
He got one at bat in Sunday's game because it was 12-3 or whatever.
No, that's certainly interesting. But again, I think Carrasco legit might be the worst pitcher in the league the last 2 years.
Yeah, that one's not.
I just looked it up. You might be right about that.
He's that bad. That one I seriously wasn't just doing one of my normal hyperboles about. He's really that bad. And Carrasco has had a really great career, so it's at this point it doesn't even feel like a knock. It's just the end of the line. If
they did do that, if they did bring Schmidt back and Warren was the guy that went down, that would be a massive issue. That would be a massive. You would be allowed to yell and scream about that. That
would really piss me off if they do that.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped to get Schmidt back to my guy. So I need Warren to also stay in because Warren reminding me a little bit of Schmidt, young Schmidt here. Got some good stuff.
Teach him the ropes here a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, Yankees lineup, I'm just worried if these young guys can get going this season. Ben Rice, couple of good at-bats, mostly not great at-bats, but we'll see.
Ben Rice looks good, dude.
Ben Rice looks good.
Might be legit.
Another guy that's going to get shelved, though, once Stanton's back because Goldie's going to play. And Goldie...
There's no spot for him.
We'll see with Goldschmidt right now. Right now, the Yankees are getting about what I've expected from Bellinger and Goldschmidt. They're getting a little more from Chisholm, who, by the way, has this great weekend with the torpedo bat, stops using it.
He's not using it anymore?
No, if you look, he's using a totally different bat. And he last night, he even went back to the torpedo bat for one at-bat, got out with it, and then went back to this other bat. It's the long, traditional beige bat.
Interesting.
I don't know why he's switching them up. Because he hasn't gotten a hit with the other one. It's just one of those superstition things where if you were so great with the gray bat this weekend and he did all these post-game torpedo comments, like making it a whole
he was
thing.
He was all over it.
Now he's not using it.
all over social media with that, defending
Yeah.
it, this and that. Interesting. Yeah, that stat too about him having the highest, fourth highest WAR in the American League since they traded for him. Kind of shocking, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, has for the most part so far stepped up into that role of being that second or third bat here behind Judge. He's done a good job.
Yep. So when you're getting what was expected out of Judge, Chisholm, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, the good veterans in this lineup, I was hoping for, and Wells, I'm really going to try not to rip Wells too much because he is a catcher. So I'm happy with the production he's giving them right now. I'm happy with how he's playing. Yeah. But I was hoping one of Dominguez, Volpe, Rice, Cabrera, since they're playing all of them, I was hoping one of them would give you the boost to start the year, give you confidence that they're going to have a nice season. One of them could still give you a great year, still only 5 games in, but I have not seen any signs, except a little bit from Rice, that they're actually going to do that.
2 homers, 13 at-bats, sitting 385. I think Rice is giving you. I think Rice is giving it to you.
You made a good point about it in the preseason. What bothers me with Rice was the reason they had to get rid of Dom Smith is you now have too many guys who can't play the field or can only play first base on your team. And you have Goldschmidt can only play first. You have Rice is a first baseman who can't field, so he's not going to play that much. And when Stanton comes back, there's no justification to put Rice in over Stanton.
Unless Rice is hitting.
Yeah, but still, it's just the organization. They're just going to sit there and say, well, we have Stanton, who's a Hall of Fame hitter, had the monster October last year. And when he gets hot is still, for those 2-3 weeks a year, is the most lethal hitter in the sport. And we're paying him all this money.
Right, but if Rice is hitting, they're not getting, like, if he's hitting at a, if he's very productive, they're not going to get rid of him. They're going to just have to say, unless Goldschmidt is also knocking the cover off the ball, then they're going to have to say, okay, this is a platoon now. This is a platoon.
Yeah.
Or Rice is our starting first baseman. Listen, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Rice is going to play his way here into the lineup for the rest of the year when Stanton gets back, but I'm just saying.
We talked a lot about both teams' lineups this year.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to pull up this Yankees lineup if anyone hasn't seen it, but have you been following the Yankees lineups every day? Have you really been?
It has changed. I know Goldschmidt now has kind of locked himself into that leadoff spot after the first game.
Yeah, because Wells did the first game, and then Goldschmidt. I could see them going back to Wells tonight against Kelly.
But I know it's been. I know they've moved it around. No.
Yeah, they moved it around. Having trouble here with. Hold on. There it is. So this is their lineup that they've been going with the last few games. And I get it. You want to roll the same core spots after that Brewers series. But when you look at this lineup, Goldschmidt's not a leadoff hitter. No. Volpe's not a 5 hitter.
No.
I don't like Jazz as a 4 hitter. So it's just a weird top 6 right now. Wells is hitting too good to be your 6 hitter behind Volpe.
I would flip Chisholm and Wells and then Volpe and Chisholm.
Yeah, so you would go Judge, Wells, Chisholm, Volpe in the middle.
Judge, Wells, Chisholm, Volpe. That's how I would go in the middle. And I'd probably hit Bellinger leadoff. I know they don't want to do that. I know they're against that.
I did some research on Bellinger's leadoff career. He's only hit 1 game leadoff in his career. Not that it matters. Goldschmidt never hit any before. But his only game hitting leadoff ever, if my research is correct, was the second game of his entire career.
Yeah, but like he has the makeup of a guy to He has the makeup of a guy that could hit leadoff. And
you move Judge into the second spot by doing that, which when Stanton comes back, which sounds like within the next 6 weeks he'll be playing baseball.
Yeah.
It's an interesting lineup for Boone because you probably want to go Bellinger, Judge, and then who hits in between? I think it might be Bellinger, Judge, Jazz, Stanton in the top 4.
Fully healthy.
Or Wells, Stanton. I don't know which one he would go with.
The way it's currently constructed right now, I would go Bellinger, Judge, Wells, Jazz, I know 2 lefty back-to-back, but I don't care. Goldschmidt.
Yeah, Boone
probably
cares.
how I
That's
do it.
that's the ultimate gripe I have with the lineup is Boone cares about righty lefty,
The
righty lefty,
yeah.
righty lefty.
Yeah.
And that hurts your lineup because I think it should, once again, I think you should play the best 9 players every day, no matter the pitching matchup, no matter the splits. And I think you should hit your best 9 players in order every day and keep your lineup consistent.
Judge should be hitting second.
He should be.
100%.
With Soto last year, I liked him hitting third. It made
Right, but
sense to hit Soto.
This
instead of Judge.
lineup, no.
Yeah, this lineup, it's got to be Judge hitting second.
But did it, though? They didn't have a leadoff hitter?
It only made sense because I wouldn't have hit Soto first ever. I would
No.
never hit Soto leadoff. And I want Judge behind him because Judge is the best home run hitter in the league. So the amount Soto gets on, I want Judge to have a man on base as many times as possible.
Yeah.
But I'm not hitting Judge leadoff. I have friends saying hit Judge leadoff. I'm not hitting Judge leadoff.
I've seen that take.
Why would you do that?
Hit him second.
But they're never going to move Bellinger to 1. So it's going to be Bellinger in the 3 or Bellinger at 2. I could see. Listen, I wish Jazz or Volpe could hit leadoff. That's the ideal scenario because they get on, they steal bases, but they don't get on. In the perfect world, they get on base. They don't.
Jazz, Judge, Bellinger.
Bellinger, Stanton would be an awesome
Wells.
top 4. Judge, Bellinger, Stanton, Wells. Now you're cooking with a first 5.
You are.
And then you go to Goldschmidt. That's a really good top 6. And then it gets a little dicey after that.
Dominguez, Volpe,
and Cabrera. So that's rough. But
fine.
That top 6. That top 6 is one of the best top 6s in the league.
Yeah, it's top 5, top 6.
But Jazz can't get on base enough to hit leadoff.
No.
And he gives you way too many short at bats.
Somebody will step up and become the leadoff hitter.
Yeah, Yankees are screwed.
Come on.
They might
Where's that positivity from Monday that you had? Come on.
Well, gone. Mark Leiter drained it out of me on Tuesday.
Wow. All
right, anything else? Anything else?
I'm good there. Very excited for opening day. I'll be at Citi Field Friday.
Yeah, what's the walk me through your day at Citi Field? What's the plan? When do you get there? How early? What's the food that you're looking to go for right away?
We are going to get there early. Obviously, want to see the ceremonies. I think we're driving in, so we'll see how that goes. But we'll get there really early. Nothing to do but the game tomorrow. Listen, I think it's going to be an amazing day. This is one of the more hyped up opening days in Met history. I'm looking to get. I'm craving a hot dog for some reason, so we'll get that, and then I think we'll just probably go with a traditional burger and fries or chicken and fries at some point throughout the game. Nathan's fries, though, nothing but Nathan's fries.
Nice.
And if I could find the cookie bucket, I will absolutely be getting a cookie bucket.
Yeah, I want to know about the cookie bucket. I want the report.
If I could get one, I'll make it.
You have to, you'd worry there might be a massive line for the bucket after the offseason hype. I saw the tiramisu place, Yankee Stadium, had no line.
Well,
so
see, to me, and I don't know what I may be contradicting myself. Tiramisu at a ball game might be pushing it.
That's pushing it for sure.
That's a lot of ball game. I don't know. I've never had tiramisu.
I have.
Feels like a heavy dessert. Like a heavy dessert.
You're running for the bathroom like 5th inning if you eat that first inning.
You can't be doing that. Come on.
Because it has coffee in it too.
You got to save room for the glizzies.
You got it. Glizzy at Yankee Stadium was great the other day. Like awesome, top notch. Nathan's hot dog. That was great to start the season, and we got the win. I would argue opening day at home, when you don't open at home on actual opening day, is better. Like tomorrow is better than last Thursday as a Mets fan. The anticipation of the morning.
Because you had to wait. Because you had to wait for it.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a great day. I'm very excited to hear the ovations. I believe that, Alonso should get the biggest ovation, especially after what he did the last few games here. But it's going to be a unbelievable day, one of the more hyped up opening days in a very long time, maybe ever for the Mets at Citi Field. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
When they're going through intros, where does the buck stop for massive cheers? You get Lindor, Soto, Alonso going to get huge cheers, obviously, as they're reading through the lineup.
Nimmo, people love Nimmo.
Good, huge, yep.
I think they'll try and hype Vientos up, and they'll give him a nice one. The fans love Winker. They love Marte. Both of them will get a nice ovation. Torrens, after what he's done, should get a nice one, too.
Yeah, Torrens should get one. I think everyone gets a good one, but I'm at the Yankee game the other day.
Beatty's not.
I'm at the Yankee game the other day, and I thought about this for you because different energy going into the season for both clubs, obviously.
Yeah.
Fans are a little more excited for the Mets, but I'm cheering through the top of the order. I'm cheering Goldschmidt led off, so this is my guy. He's my guy.
Yeah.
And he's a new guy, so we want to give him the warm embrace. He hit the home run the day before. So I'm giving him the big cheer. Then Bellinger, my first time seeing him with the Yanks, big cheer. Judge, obviously biggest. And then Jazz, pumped about Jazz. And then it was fifth hitter was Volpe. And then you go to Wells, and it just starts to decline rapidly after that. Yeah. And then it gets to a point where by the time it was Ben Rice, I'm back in my chicken bucket like it wasn't.
Right.
I'm thinking about that for you. Where does it stop? But it probably is for almost every team. Right after that 5-hitter, you're going to start to fatigue a little bit.
I think after the 6th, if you get to Beatty, when you get to Beatty, Acuna, Tyrone / Siri, Torrens, I'll stay standing for Torrens. I'll salute Torrens.
Torrens, it's a hat off, tip the cap.
That's my guy.
To Torrens, because he's doing so much. And what if when Alvarez gets called out before the lineup, they'll call him out if he's there.
He'll get a big one.
But from you?
No, not from me.
Who are the guys that don't play? Pitchers, they're going to call everybody out. Who are the guys that don't play?
Reed Garrett will get a big from me. One from me. I'm a big Reed Garrett. Deadnell Nunez, 100%. Diaz, I'll stand up for. It's my guy. Who else? Hayden Singer. Good for him making the team. A nice story, kind of like the JC. What's his name from the Yankees? That's a nice story.
Yep.
So he'll get a nice one from me. That's about it. Mendoza. Oh, Mendoza.
Yeah.
Mendoza, man. He'll get a nice one.
You got a perfect day tomorrow in Queens too.
Yeah, and Colon. Bartolo Colon and Al Leiter, I think, are going to be there, and Juan Lagares.
Yeah, you should get
somebody else from the 2000 team as well.
You should get a good alumni showing at opening day.
So it'll be cool.
Yep, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited.
You got to see the outfit. You got to see the outfit I got planned for tomorrow.
What's the outfit?
I got my Soto jersey, obviously.
Of course.
I got a 2024 postseason hat. Probably have a blue shirt underneath the jersey. I got this nice big necklace. You'll see. I'll take a picture tomorrow.
Let me ask you a question about the postseason hat too.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up here. The rules on buying postseason hats. Last year, special for Mets fans, but maybe it's because I'm a Yankees snob.
Yeah, you're definitely. Yep,
when you don't win the World Series, especially with World Series merch, do you get the merch?
So, I'm not used to this. In 2022, I needed a black hat. I needed a black Mets hat. They just brought the black jerseys back, so I bought one at the game with the postseason patch because I like the patches on the side. I'm a patch guy, and I will tell you this: that 2024 patch that I have, that's my main hat. That blue hat now is my main hat because it was a special run. So for me, I'm good with that hat being the main hat for 24.
That's fair.
For the 25 season. That's my main hat.
I would think if the Jets, like this, it would kind of be similar. Not the same, but similar if the Jets this year put together a crappy team and won a playoff game, Yeah. And for me, I've never seen the Jets actually do that.
Yeah.
So I would probably, if they went to the AFC Championship, I would buy all the merch if they lost by 55 points.
See, I think even if they made the playoffs, and I don't have this yet, I'm gonna buy it cheap just for like memories, like just we made the postseason, we're in,
Yeah.
like if the Jets had made the playoffs in your shoes, I think you should absolutely have that.
Yeah, because the Yankees, it's a different thing. I'm like, we didn't win the World Series, so as if I've seen like a massive amount of World Series, I haven't, but we didn't win one. So
I like the World Series hat though. I like the World Series. Yeah. I probably would have bought it. If I was
the nice fallback with the Yankees is if I want World Series gear, it's just going to be another snob thing too. Like I have my Jeter jersey with the World Series patch.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
You could get merch with World Series stuff on it.
Yeah,
from any of the World Series, like,
right?
It's not.
We had 27 of them, so obviously,
and they've been at 50. So it's you could choose from literally half of the World Series.
Well, it had been 15 years, Kevin. I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, but now it's only been like 15 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, good episode today, episode 41, Boroughs. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We're going to start some more pre-recorded content, doing different segments, interviews. We have a lot of nice stuff planned. If you stuck with us last year, we did trivia and drafts during lives. We're going to turn those into just like 30-minute compacted episode segments, 20, 30 minutes for you to watch. And they'll be a little bit timeless, so you could just if you can't watch it the first day, if you can't watch the live, obviously these lives go out of style once the next games are played. But with the segments, you'll be able to sit around for the most part and watch them afterwards. So we look forward to that. We appreciate the support. Check out the Instagram. Check out what we're doing on YouTube and TikTok. And we'll see you in the next one. Make sure Hardline new episode came out. If you're looking for football,
redraft.
Hardline Draft Guide 3.0 came out. You can find that on my Twitter or the Instagram link. Playbook, New York Sports on Instagram and TikTok. Nobody doing it better every day than Gabe with the Playbook. So thanks for watching once again, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck tomorrow at Mets opening day.